Good morning, weirdos. How are y'all this morning? Cold and tired as I am? Perhaps. Perhaps not. Perhaps you've been up for a while. Little stick matches. Sensible. Good morning, good morning, good morning. A little chilly this morning. I guess we'll just have to warm up. Lord. Well, what a day, what a day. Oh. Isn't this awesome? Another year has gone by, and we're already 4 fingers into another year. Oh, I guess the appropriate thing to do would be to thank a lot of people for making this happen. YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, for letting me have my own show, my own channel, allowing me to do pretty much whatever I can think of, as long as it's not badly affecting anyone. So, such as life should be. Do unto others. But you can't say do unto others as you would have them do unto you, because nowadays people are doing some bizarre shit to each other and to themselves. So I don't trust that old motto. Oh, the first drink of coffee. So thank you, YouTube. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'd like to thank my wife, Hilda, and my daughter, Natalie, for being so helpful and understanding about my weirdness. Yeah, without them, I wouldn't be here today, honestly. Before my wife, I had pretty much checked out. I had resigned to literally I was just going to go crawl up into the hills somewhere, find a little cave and raise potatoes and goats. And then I found my wife. She rescued me from myself. I'd like to thank our dogs, Sam, who is such an amazing pooch. He just checking, because sometimes this whole tech thing is bugging me. So Sam, the dog, many years ago, on my daughter's birthday, it was pouring rain, and this little dog had been running up and down the streets all morning long, looking very, very lost and alone and confused. And I had to put my blinders on, because even though we only had one dog, we lived in a travel trailer, and it was an impossibility, really, to think about having another creature living with us in that thing. But nonetheless, I went out to go pick my wife up in the pouring rain, and I pulled out onto the street, and sitting right in the middle of the street, right in front of our drive, was this little dog. He was just bent over and looking down and sad and cold and shaking, and he had resigned to be done. He was done. You could tell that he was done. He was just sitting in the middle of the street in the pouring rain. And I pulled out and pulled right up next to him and left my car sitting in the middle of the road and went up to him, and he wanted nothing to do with me. He was upset. He was, like I said, he was done. So I left the car there, and I ran back to my house, got a pack of hot dogs, took this pack of hot dogs over to this dog, and started to break up hot dogs and feed him hot dogs. When I tried to reach for him, he would growl and snap at me. So I couldn't leave him sitting in the middle of the road. At this point, my heart was broken into a million pieces by this little guy. And I made a trail of hot dog pieces to my car and got in my car and sat in the seat until he came to me, to the open door. And I reached for him, and he growled and snapped and went away. So I threw another hot dog at him. He snapped it up. I put more pieces on the ground outside of the car. He came, he ate the pieces outside of the car. I held a hot dog in front of his face. I shoved a whole hot dog into his mouth while he was chewing on that hot dog. I reached down, I grabbed him, I picked him up, I pulled him into my lap. His soaking wet body, I pulled him up against me, and I held him so tight that he started to growl while he was eating that hot dog. And as he was growling and eating, nom, 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 I just held him tight, and I kept scratching him and squeezing him and scratching him and squeezing him. And he went from a tense ball of anger, and he just went limp. And he just went limp in my arms. And I just want to cry every time I think about this guy. And so I drove down to get my wife with this dog in my lap, and she opened up the door and gave me the look like, how could you do this? And so I explained to her that, I couldn't just leave him there, and we'll look for his owners. We'll find his home. I'm sure he's just lost. Well, to make a long story short, we walked around our neighborhood for every couple of days. We'd walk around our neighborhood for like a month. And we'd walk him around, and nobody recognized him. Nobody knew him. Nobody admitted to knowing him. And we drove by the pound one day, and it was early in the morning, and we drove up to the pound. I rolled my window down. I heard all of the dogs in the pound screaming and barking and crying. I rolled my window up. I told my wife, drive, don't stop, just keep driving. We're not leaving him here. And then I put ads in the paper, Facebook, Craigslist, even on the radio station. Nothing. But after a week, I knew I was not going to let him go. I just knew it. He was a different dog, very different. We'll go more into Sam later. Sam is a wonderful animal. Takes care of Oliver and Tootsie and Bessie, and all of us humans as well. He is the alpha, but he is such a mother hen you would not believe. So thank you, Sam. Thank you, Oliver, who came to us much in the same fashion. A lady brought home a dog from a box of puppies at the store. She happened to be in her 80s and couldn't deal with a little bitey dog. So we then had Oliver, a little Chihuahua mix. My father passed away a few years ago, and we inherited two of his dogs, a Dachshund and Chihuahua mix, a Chiweenie, beautiful girl. And her best friend, Bessie, a big, oafish shepherd type dog. I have no idea what breed she is. She's big. And she's a coyote killer. She's a big, tough old girl, sweet as apple pie. She's just adorable. Wouldn't hurt a fly unless, of course, that fly was on a coyote. But yeah, Bessie and Tootsie came to us, and we had no choice. Of course, I pretended that we were going to find a home for Bessie, but there was no way we were going to break up Bessie and Tootsie. No way. I can't do breaking up families. It was hard enough that all the other animals had to go in different directions. But Tootsie and Bessie were very special to each other, as well as very special to my father. So I could not separate them. Tootsie came to us first before he passed away, and fell in love with my daughter and is pretty much inseparable from my daughter. Bessie came a couple of months later after he had passed away. And of course, she was lost without him. Spent a week and a half under my daughter's bed, would not come out except to eat and go to the bathroom, and then would crawl right back in there. I literally had to drag her out by her legs and pull her out of that bed and block it off so she could not get under there anymore, just to pull her out of her shell. I would bring her in here and yank her into my lap, big giant dog, put her into my lap and pet her to let her know that it was okay. She was home now. If you've seen any pictures or video or the reel of Tootsie and Bessie, they're a real team. They're best buddies. They sleep together, play together, they eat together. Of course, Tootsie's got her boys too, so she's always looking for somebody to cuddle with, human or animal. So thank you to my wonderful family, my wife, my daughter, our 4 lovely pets. And I would like to thank Robert and his wife, Michelle, for all of their encouragement during this. And I hope things are going better for you guys up there in the north. I'd like to thank my neighbors for keeping it quiet at 5 in the morning, even though in the past that hasn't always been so. I'm sure that at some point when I'm doing live shows other than in the morning, you'll get to hear my neighbors. I'm sure they'll make an appearance at some point. Thank you to our very good friends, Dave and Kristen and their family. Girls, thank you so much for just being you guys. You're awesome. Um, thank you for making me feel like I matter out in the world. Because I know I matter at home, but when I get out in the world, I'm completely lost. And anytime I'm with you guys, I feel like it's okay to be me. And I don't get that feeling a lot out in the world, out moving around doing things. So yeah, I don't have any fears when I'm out with you guys. You know, we went out the other night. Thank you so much for taking us out. Yeah, I felt like it was okay to be me. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for your art, your music, your compassion, and your companionship. You guys mean the world to me. Let's see, who else are we talking about here? Ron and Vivica, thank you so much. We've known you for quite a few years now, and you guys are some of the most awesome people on the planet Earth. Thank you so much for everything you do for us and for just being there. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. If it wasn't for you guys, I probably wouldn't be able to do this weird stuff that I'm doing. Honestly, it means the world. It really does. Thank you so much, Ron and Vivica. All right, looks like we're getting a little too mushy this morning. Before I'm done thanking, I would like to thank viewers and subscribers and friends. Thank you to all my friends on Facebook who have helped me take the show a little bit further and have helped me share my my weirdness. Thank you. Let's see. I can't see all of my YouTube subscribers. Of course, you won't allow me to see who you are, so I will thank the ones that I can read. Yesterday, I had a new subscriber, and it was right after I heard from Sam from Guerrilla Gold Hunters up in British Columbia, Canada. So if that was you who subscribed yesterday, thank you very much, Sam. Appreciate it. It means a lot to get another subscriber. It really does. Okay, thank you, Natalie, my daughter, for being a subscriber. Thank you, Ron, for being a subscriber. Thank you, Hiram, for being a subscriber. And thank you, Craig, for being a subscriber. I'm sure you all know who you are. Ray, thank you very much, Ray, for being a subscriber. Tracy, hello, Tracy. Thank you for being a subscriber and for all your years of friendship. And you as well, Venice. Thank you very much for subscribing. And thank you for being a friend for so long. Kendra, hello, Kendra. What are you doing? Thank you for subscribing to my weirdness. And Fasha, of course. I don't know where I'd be in this world if it wasn't for Fasha. She's done so much for me and so much for everyone else that I've known. She has got to be one of the most unsung heroes in my life. Thank you, Fasha. Let's see. Thank you for leaving comments. Thank you, Hiram, for leaving a comment. Yes, it's totally awesome. Thank you, Paul. And thank you for writing this time machine through history. Appreciate it. Bill. Dude, the cat in the Iron Maiden shirt? Well, that's Andy. Or Andrew, if you know him today. Do you remember Andy from back in the day? Are you from back in the day? And thank you, Sam, once again, for your comment and for enjoying the show. I appreciate it. All right. So as promised this morning, we are going to talk about piranha. Piranha. So the original piranha, 1978, was, of course, a Roger Corman production. Roger Corman, a producer from the writer, director, producer from the 1950s sci-fi drive-in kind of stuff. He always did weird, bizarre, out there movies. One of my favorite Roger Corman productions is Battle Beyond the Stars with John Boy from the Waltons. That's just a fantastic adventure movie. Got a lot of great people. It got George Peppard in it. Let's see, another Roger Corman production. Pardon me. Okay. One of my favorite Roger Corman production movies is Ron Howard's first directorial debut movie. It's a great, fun, exciting drive-in type movie. Grand Theft Auto has nothing to do with the movie, or has nothing to do with the video game from the late 90s, early 2000s. Has nothing to do with any of that. Has nothing to do with any other Gone in 60 Seconds or Fast and Furious franchises. Grand Theft Auto started pretty much everything for me. Well, it was that one, and Eat My Dust was another good Ron Howard movie. Probably Roger Corman as well. So Roger Corman and Ron Howard, I mean, these guys working together, right? Ron Howard had been trying to get into directing movies, from what I understand, since he turned of age, I guess. I mean, before that, he wanted to be a director. He had spent some time in movie school, film school, but didn't graduate because he knew what he wanted. He knew he had already had enough training growing up in Hollywood. The guy starred in a movie with Frank Sinatra as a little kid, A Hole in the Head, right? I'm going to take you to Disneyland, kid. We'll make our own Disneyland. So Roger Corman and Ron Howard. Ron Howard says he wants to do this movie. He wants to make a movie, wants to direct a movie, but he's got no movie to direct. So he and his father, over I think like a week, they sat together and they came up with this idea for a movie and wrote the movie. So it was really not just a Roger Corman, Ron Howard joint venture, but it was, for the most part, it was a Howard family joint venture. Because from what I understand, Ron Howard didn't have a lot of money going into this. That's why, of course, they wrote the movie themselves. They got friends and family to come on board acting. They got people that they knew to come on board behind the scenes production. One story that I heard from Ron Howard was that was it Clint Howard? They had done first day of shooting on the movie. And after the first day of shooting, everybody wanted to quit. Apparently, they had hired a caterer, and because they had a low budget, the caterer was none too good. And after the first day, the whole cast and crew was ready to mutiny because the food was just awful. Just awful. And in perfect Howard family fashion, Ron Howard's wife and mother and other family members got together and literally bought groceries and made food every day for the cast from then on out. The cast and crew was fed by the Howard family. And I thought that showed so much, not just family, but community. I mean, there was, after that, it seemed like it became a family community project where everybody was in it, not just for themselves and for their paycheck, but they were in it for the project. They were in it for the Howard family. And I just thought that was such a great story about, how you got your first opportunity, and every time you turn around, you're another issue, and you just keep jumping over those issues like hurdles, and just keep running for the prize. And that's what he did. And I don't think he's ever turned back. Ron Howard has just boom, boom, boom. I think one of my next books that I'm going to read is probably the autobiography by Ron and Clint Howard. That seems like it's going to be a great book. So Barnes and Noble, here I come. Oh, time to warm up that coffee. So let's see. Back to Piranha, 1978. Let me warm up my coffee and I'll be right back with you. Okay, coffee is hot again. Okay, so Piranha, 1978, Roger Corman production. Bradford Dillman. Now, I've seen Bradford Dillman in like a million things, but the one thing that stands out in my head from Bradford Dillman is the third Planet of the Apes movie, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, right? Because it was Planet of the Apes, Return to the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and then Battle for the Planet of the Apes, the 5 original movies. And then, of course, it went into an animated series and a short-lived 13-episode TV series. And the TV series is a great TV series. The pilot episode has got Royal Dano, and he was, or Royal Dano, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He was the definitive Lincoln. If you remember the episode of The Rifleman, where that Lincoln character comes to town and believes that he is Lincoln, and that's Royal Dano. In fact, he did the voice for Lincoln in the Hall of Presidents, in the original Hall of Presidents. Just a great sounding guy. So, Bradford Dillman from the third Planet of the Apes movie, and among other things, he's probably got hundreds of credits to his name. He stars in Piranha 1978 with Heather Menzies-Urich. Now, Heather Menzies, before she apparently married Robert Urich, hadn't really done a whole lot. She's not a very sorry to say, she's not a very competent actress. The only thing that I remember seeing her in of any consequence to me was the TV series Logan's Run. And that I liked it. I liked the Logan's Run TV show because it was kind of an extension of the movie. Well, what happened, right? What really happened when they were out cruising around? You know, what happened after the movie, and it kind of gives you kind of a supposition of what could have taken place, and that's neat. And I like it because it's in a very similar fashion of the Planet of the Apes TV show, and they were both short-lived, and they were both very similar. I think they were both shot on the 20th Century backlot, in that backlot studio, and then of course the 20th Century Ranch, the Fox Ranch in Malibu, and it goes from the beach all the way up into the mountains. So you can pretty much, write any kind of script and you can play it out right there at the Fox Ranch. And that what a place, what a friggin' place. So the 1978 Piranha. It's not one of those Academy Award winners. It is a great story. In the original 1978 version, there's a scene in the opening 30 minutes where they go to look for missing people in a closed down government facility. And while they're snooping around, before Kevin McCarthy's character shows up, there's this little Ray Harryhausen monster creeping around, and he's just a little stop motion animation monster. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why it's there. I don't recall it having a purpose other than popping up and looking around and kind of being weird and then hiding. And then it pops up again a few minutes later and it hides. And that's about it. And I think they just had, I believe they probably just had somebody they needed to pay. And it was like, okay, we'll make us some stop motion and we'll put it in the movie and we'll cut you a check. It seemed like that. It was like straightforward, somebody is going to do some stop motion for us, and we're going to pay him. It could have been money laundering. I mean, it was pointless for this stop motion creature to be in the movie. It had nothing to do with the movie at all whatsoever. Nothing to do with any of the characters. They don't even acknowledge this thing in the movie. So it appears to be just an afterthought, or well, how are we going to pay this guy? Well, he needs to make something so that we can use. The producers are only going to cut a check if they get something in return. All right, well, here you go. Here's a little stop motion. Anyway, I don't know why I'm focusing on this stupid little stop motion creature, but it was pointless. So before I go any further with 78, let's talk about 95. Piranha 95 is almost an exact remake of the 1978. The lines between Bradford Dillman and Heather Menzies are almost identical to the lines between William Catt and Alexandra Paul. The names are the same. The scenario is exactly identical. The opening, when the main character gets sent to look for the missing people, the looking for the missing people, the meeting up with the old drunk guy, William Catt, Bradford Dillman character, the old mountain man character played by Keenan Wynn in the first one, and in the second one, some old guy. I'm sure he was a character actor of the day, but yeah, both movies are almost identical. Of course, in the second one, there's no little stop motion creature, at least not that I recall. The piranha swimming through the water. Those pictures and footage look almost identical. The story about the main character's daughter and the camp, and I mean, just everything right down the line is almost identical. One of the main characters in both movies is a female camp counselor, and in the 95 version it's played by an older Soleil Moonfry, Punky Brewster. Now in the first one, the camp counselor is played by that cute little blonde girl that was in The Guiding Light, and she kept popping up in movies here and there. I want to say that she's also the girl in the movie The Car with James Brolin, in the opening sequences where the two young adults are riding their 10 speeds through the canyon, and the car comes along and kills them both, and the girl gets chucked off and is missing. And I believe that girl as well is the same girl from Piranha 78, and the girl who was in The Guiding Light forever. So anyway, back to Piranha and Soleil Moonfry. Now Soleil Moonfry, she was, she didn't do a whole lot really. She did Punky Brewster and she did a couple of other little things. She didn't really stand out much. Of course, as she got a little bit older, well, she didn't do much either. She just kind of floundered about, and maybe it was that she didn't want to do much. I know that she got, she went through puberty a little early and got breasts, and it's hard for young girls with breasts to get jobs in Hollywood as a young girl. And if you look like a young girl but you have breasts, then you can't. I mean, Judy Garland for The Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland had her breasts bandaged and strapped down to make her look younger, and that probably still goes on in Hollywood today. So if you grow up too quick in Hollywood, you age yourself out of a lot of work, unless you can go from kid acting to adult acting. There was very little in between. If there was in between, you were doing a high school movie or an early college type movie, and that was it for kids. That's pretty much it. Hack 'em and slash 'em movies, or stupid, nerdy college high school movies. Wasn't much. Good stuff. So Soleil Moonfry also had a brother in Hollywood. His name was Mino Peluce, or Peluche. Mino Peluce. If anybody knows how to pronounce that, hook me up. He did a number of things, popping up as a little kid in a few TV shows. He did a time travel movie, Explorers, I think is what it was called. Him and a tall blonde guy, and they were bouncing around through time, kind of a quantum leap, time tunnel type show. I believe they were out bouncing around through time, and they were kind of lost, and they were trying to make their way home. It's a really, really good show. He was also one of the kids on the original Amityville horror movies, Mino Peluce. So the 1995 version, which is almost an identical remake of the 1978 version of Piranha, also has not just Soleil Moon Frye, but a young Mia Kunis, who later became Jackie Burkhart on That 70s Show. And this is about 5 years before that. And when she starred on That 70s Show, created in 99, she was 15 years old in production, at the beginning of production, being groped and kissed and molested by and a 5 year older Ashton Kutcher. Oh, what a trip. So at this point in Piranha 95, she's about 9 years old or so. And she looks very, 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 very young. But even at this point, I believe that she had already been in Hollywood doing voiceover work. I believe she was a voice on the Magic School Bus for a season or two. Anybody know any of this? Any facts about this? Please say something in the comments. Hook me up. So the 1995 version. I can't say that it's better or worse. I mean, it's pretty much the same movie. You know, you watch one, and whatever feeling you get from watching one, you'll get if you were watching the other one, you'd have gotten the same feeling. They're literally almost identical. And of course, they're both Roger Corman productions, because Roger Corman is like the king of production value. He will get production value out of anything possible. So to take a script, and it's his script, he owns it, he can do whatever the hell he wants with it. So you can take that script and use it, rewrite it, don't rewrite it. There have been several incarnations of Piranha. I don't believe all of them have been Roger Corman productions, but the 1978 and the 1995 versions were definitely Roger Corman, as was the 2010 Piranha 3D. Now this one I haven't seen in a couple of years, but from what I remember, it was a movie within a movie. It was about a director, producer guy, Jerry O'Connell, I believe, was the guy. And this movie is pretty much a TNA movie. It's a lot of shock and awe. They use a lot of blood and guts. It's pretty much a disgusting movie. It's got some good parts. It's got some action, some intense scenes that are fun. But it still has a lot of pieces from the first two movies. And I don't know about a Piranha 2. I'm going to have to investigate to see if in between the 78 and the 95 versions and the 3D version, was there a 2 in there? Was there a Piranha 2 before the 3D? I know there's a Piranha DD, which I'm assuming is just another TNA movie. Yeah. I never had a chance to watch Ned Kelly, so we won't go into that. If anybody did watch it, you want to leave something in the comments, I'll be sure to watch that movie ASAP and get back to you. But that movie was a kind of an add-on there in case I had the chance to watch it, which I didn't. Piranha 3D. Richard Dreyfuss is also in that movie. Richard Dreyfuss. How do you like it to be pronounced, Richard? He has kind of got an older guy part. And for me, it's hard to think of Richard Dreyfuss as doing older guy parts. I see him so often as a young man in movies that reality smacks me in the face every time I see one of my older favorite actors actually aged, and that, boy, that's a shocker, isn't it? Isn't it? And all of a sudden you look up and everything around you is different and old. It doesn't just make you feel old. I mean, it really surrounds you with old. Yeah. Anyways, so what's been going on with you guys? Huh? Anything new? Yep. Yeah. So this is Thursday morning, January 4th, 2024. Ugh. 2024. So that means in 2 years, these here United States will have its 250th birthday. Now, in 1976, we have the bicentennial, America's 200th birthday. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, all of this is political propaganda bullshit, because as much as we want to claim that we are the greatest country in the world, the proof is in the pudding, people. And if you're not going to realize that, you have to invest yourself into something to make it worth anything. Well, then take your, we're the greatest country in the world and stick it up your ass. Until you actually make it so, it ain't so. And until everybody is on board making it happen, it ain't so. So we're going to be 76. So that'll be 50 years, another 50 years from 76 to 26. Ain't that something? 50 years. Wow. 50 years. Now, back when there was the 200th birthday, the bicentennial, it was a big deal. I mean, America started celebrating the bicentennial in 1975. Everywhere you looked, there was something bicentennial this, bicentennial that. You could buy so many things with the logo 1976 on it. Red, white, and blue 76. I've got a handful of 1976 bicentennial paraphernalia lying around in here, and at some point we'll do a bicentennial show, and we'll talk about things that happened in 1976, things that we tried to make happen and didn't. 1975 was our last trip to the moon and our last space mission for that Apollo space program. And it was a few years later that we got into the space shuttle. And you remember the space shuttle was a pretty secretive deal back in the mid to late 70s. We knew we were going to do a space shuttle. But of course, we were right in the middle of the Cold War, still in the 70s, which was a ridiculous notion. My grandmother, Opal, she worked for General Dynamics in the late 70s, early 80s. And she actually helped build small microchips. Back when microchips were new, she used to sit and solder through a microscope all day, soldering microchips. And that's huge. That's pretty heavy. I remember going with her to General Dynamics, my brother and sister and I. And she had a employee party day. It was like an employee barbecue thing. And she asked us to go with her. And I remember a lot of people in suits. And a lot of people patting themselves on the back, and deservedly so. I mean, it wasn't too long after that there was a space shuttle flying around up in space. And the fact that she had even the tiniest little piece of making that happen, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. So, 1970s, end of the space mission, middle of the Cold War. Yeah. And we're done. We're done. For some reason, we're just done going to the moon. What's up with that? I never did understand that. No. Well, yeah. Sorry for the lull here, but this is morning time. And gotta try to scare those cobwebs out of the brain. At some point, we'll give you a tour of the room here. This is my wall of heroes, family. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we talked about piranha movies. If you get a chance for free, you just have to watch the commercials. One of them, I think they want you to rent or pay for, or probably just do a trial subscription. But most of you probably haven't. Watch it. Shoot back to me in the comments. The episodes are there for you to watch. Stop on by anytime and check them out. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is sit here and drink my coffee, think about the past, because the present and the future mean nothing without the past. And I don't like to get into politics, but to all of those people who want to bury the past because it frightens them, or they don't like it, or it hurts their feelings, grow up. Just friggin' grow up. If you don't have a past, you don't have any lessons, if you don't have mistakes, you got nothing to learn from. If we bury our past and bury our mistakes, well, we deserve the horrible future that we're writing for ourselves, because we're doomed to repeat all of that failure again and again and again. Look at history. Every time we try to bury something bad, something worse rears its ugly head upon us. You know, if we do our best to forget about all of the Hitlers of this world, well, we're going to get them back, and we're going to get them back tenfold. I mean, look at what is happening in the world now. You know, people just decide to turn over the reins of their existence to somebody else. It's your life, people. Take back your life. You know, stop allowing others to control you. Just grow up, people. Enough with the burning our history and destroying statues. Sure, these statues are from a horrible time in history, and are there to represent horrible people. If we take all of these statues and all of this history and destroy it, how are we to teach the next generations to come on how to avoid these things? Well, we can't. We just can't. If you keep destroying history, we're doomed to repeat history. Learn from our mistakes. Take all of these stupid, horrible statues from all these horrible men and put them in a horrible men museum, so we can go there and say, yeah, this fucker here, yeah, he tried to screw up the world, but you know what? We took care of his ass, just like we're going to take care of the next assholes that come along. You know, this is your world, people. You know, take it back. Take it back from all of those assholes. Cancel culture, woke. Give me a break. Grow up, people. You know, there's one freaking reality. One reality. You can create all of the fantasy you want in the world, but there is only one reality. All right. Once you figure that out and hold on to that, well, nothing else fucking matters. You know, reality is key. If you want to live in a fantasy freaking world, then go for it. I prefer to live here in reality. Reality is a hard place. It kicks your ass sometimes. You know what? But I can feel my reality. I know that it's here. All right. I've earned all of my reality. All right. I don't give it to somebody else. I don't pay someone else to think about my reality or to help my reality exist. I don't vote my reality into existence. I make it fucking happen. You know, ask me for help and I'm going to come fucking help you. That's reality. But you better damn well be ready to fucking help yourself too, because I ain't doing all the work anymore. You want help from me? You pick your shit up and you meet me half fucking way. You don't expect me to come fucking drag my ass down and help you just so that you can turn around and walk in the other fucking direction. No. But I tell you what, if you honestly, truly need me, I'm going to fucking be there for you. No bullshit. Am I going to give you excuses on, well, I got this going on, or I got that going on, and I don't have any money, and I can't do that? Bullshit. You know, I'll fucking take a bus, hitchhike, fucking walk. If that's what I got to do to get where I'm needed, that's what's going to fucking happen. You know, you can't really say that about a lot of people. Of course, A lot of people will say that about themselves, and then when you ask them for their help, they're like, well, I got to do this, and I can't, and no, that's just not gonna, and about just fucking pockets full of fucking excuses. I got your excuse right here between my friggin' knees. Mm-hmm. Well, once again, we've made it through another morning and another week. I'm actually starting to enjoy this. Normally, I would get up and spend this time trying to talk a dog into hanging out with me. But these dogs sleep until the last person is out of bed. And usually that's my daughter, college student, who has had night classes the last semester. So her day usually begins about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, so that she has plenty of energy to put into her night classes. Of course, I think she's got more night classes this next semester, so she probably won't stray too far from her night schedule over break, which means I won't get to see her too much. I get to see her a few hours in the evening, but not much. And I'm not the kind of guy that's going to force himself on anyone. So, yeah, I see her when I see her. And boy, do I love her. She's just the awesomest kid. Every day she just amazes me on her not only her abilities, but her character. She has such a strong sense of who she is. It's like she doesn't fall for any of my guff anymore. I used to work really hard to make sure that she wasn't gullible. And boy, did I succeed, because she looks at me sideways no matter what I say, because she knows it could go either way. It could go either way. He could be messing with me, or he could be, forthright and honest. But yeah, she's an awesomest kid. 19 years old. Second year of college. Living the dream. Doing all those things that I never got to do. And she's making it happen. And it's not my doing. I mean, it has more to do with her mother than me. I mean, yeah, sure, I planted the seed, but she helped it grow. Mom has pretty much been the she's been my hero. Who am I kidding? My wife and daughter are both my heroes. Yeah, I just couldn't without either of them. They've made my life worth living. They've made all of this possible. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Well, I guess I'm going to have to cut it off for the day, because I got nothing left to talk about. And that's okay with me, because I'm about worked, and I really should get up and start thinking about how to make that Friday Night Live thing happen. I really would like to get more than one camera angle for Friday nights. I really would like to be able to link in more than just one microphone for sound. I'd like to do multiple microphones and musical instruments as well. I don't have the technical savvy to do all of this digitally. I could probably do my sound and video analog, but if I got to figure out how that's going to work with YouTube. I mean, they'll only allow me to use one camera. So do I have to come up with a multimedia switcher that it will allow me to use more than one camera through? I don't know. I do not know. So the investigation continues on how to make my live show work with more than one camera and more than one microphone. If y'all got any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I would very much appreciate it. It's 6:06 a.m. on the West Coast here, and we're about ready to sign off. I'm going to be stopping in Monday morning for the morning show, and I hope you will as well. I don't have anything planned, but you never know what's going to happen. The Friday night live show, Nonsense and Nostalgia, will be up and running in the next couple of weeks, is all I can say. I'm hoping that by the end of this month, we will have had a couple of episodes. So, yeah, please stay tuned for more entertainment from Crazy Old Weird Bearded Guy. Not that this has been very entertaining. As you can see, the sun is starting to come up behind me. Yeah. So thank you all for coming by. I guess I will cut it off for the day and see you on Monday morning. Of course, you might see me before then. I might pop in with a sound check or video check. But until then, you all take care. And I'll see you in the manana. Thanks for stopping by.